Yeah, so good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the fall research seminar of the QESS ICAP project. To begin with, let's invite our project team coordinator, project team leader, Professor Wilma, to share a few words with us.
So thank you very much for joining us today. Thank you, Jasmine, Teddy, and also Foyi for allowing us to join your class to share with the research topic in qualitative research to support students. Today, this is the seminar organized by the QESS ICAP project. And the project name, the project title is a bit long. The project name is ICAP Research sorry, not this one, but this one. Establishing the ICAP One-Stop Student Research Support Portal to improve the teaching and learning of undergraduate research projects for students and supervisors. This project is a joint project of Tung College and the Hong Kong Baptist University, the School of Continuing Education. And this project, the duration of this project lasts for 3 years, starting this year, 2025, towards 2027. And for this project, we will organize a series of research seminars to be part of the resources and for the portal to share with the students. And we hope that this project can help and enhance students' research and capability and competency in supporting their research, and also the supervisors to support their supervising the students in doing research. And today we are so glad that we have a speaker, and maybe we can wait until later. Yes. Okay. So that's the beginning of the introduction of this project, this research seminar, and we hope you enjoy this seminar today. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Ma. We would like to invite you to present a certificate to our speaker, Professor Fiona Tung. Okay, thank you, Professor Ma and Professor Tung. And we also would like to invite our guests here joining us for a group photo.
Thank you, Teddy. Jasmine.
影相啦，唔緊要啦，係啊，可以影一張嘅，謝謝，謝謝，沒事沒事。Thank you, and thank you all our guests. And finally, we would like to have a group photo with all our participants. And we also have a banner prepared for this. How do we do? Can we just come in? Yeah, of course. One, two, three. One, two, three, smile. Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much for all our participants. And moving on, we also would like to invite Professor Wilma to introduce our speaker, Professor Tung.
So good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the QESS ICAP seminar series. It's my pleasure to introduce today's speaker, Professor Fiona Tang, Associate Professor practicing nursing at the Nethersole School of Nursing, Faculty of Medicine, the Chinese University of Hong Kong. Since joining CUHK in 2006, Professor Tang has held a variety of academic and administrative roles, including Assistant Program Director, Chief Year Coordinator, Lecturer Coordinator, and Departmental Coordinator of the United College. She earned her PhD in nursing from CUHK, with research focus on primary health care and chronic disease management. A passionate educator, she integrates evidence-informed pedagogies, such as simulation-based teaching and virtual classrooms, to foster student growth and enhance teaching quality. Her commitment extends beyond the classroom, leading professional development initiative for both students and clinical nurses. And today's topic is Beyond Listening to Stories, Understanding the Nature of Qualitative Research, introduced by Professor Fiona Tang. So I give the mic to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. So I have to share screen, right? Okay, so first of all, I would like to thank the project team and Tung College inviting me to have this research seminar today. And thanks very much for the kind introduction. So in this seminar, I would like to share about the nature of qualitative research. And this is not just listening to stories. Before I share about the content, I would like to declare myself. I would like to declare that I'm not an expert in this area. I'm not an expert of qualitative research, but I am just someone who is interested in this area. I'm interested in using this kind of research method to understand people's life and experience. So these are the content that I would like to share. I will talk about some philosophical underpinnings of qualitative inquiry, some key concepts of qualitative research, some common research designs and principles of qualitative data analysis. Actually, from my sharing, I will use some comparison. I will compare between quantitative and qualitative research to highlight what are the features of qualitative inquiry. But in this kind of comparison, sometimes I will mention about qualitative research can do something quantitative research cannot. But I'm not telling that qualitative research is better than quantitative research. This is not my intention. I just want to use comparison to highlight those features. Okay. Okay, just some ice-breaking questions. So, so you may scan the QR code and access to the platform, and there should be a questions asking you, did you conduct any qualitative research? To see whether you have any experience or you have some understanding about qualitative research. Half. More. Oh, very good. So it seems that we have more participants. They have experience in qualitative studies. Well, oh, I'm sorry. So we have more participants. They did have experience in conducting qualitative studies. So what's in your mind about qualitative research? Do you enjoy the process? Yes. Yes. Okay, so what about the next question? Which one do you consider is more powerful? Numbers or stories? From your point of views, numbers or stories, which one is more powerful? Numbers, when we talk about quantitative research, we usually think about numbers. Qualitative research is about stories. So which one is more powerful? Oh, it seems that story is more powerful. Sometimes number, yes. Say for example, the workload, the salary, working hours, they are very important. But stories are also important because there are many, many messages and meanings behind stories. So thank you. So those are just some warm-up or ice-breaking questions to goes into the topic. In this afternoon, we talk about qualitative research. So from your understanding, what is qualitative research? Usually, we consider qualitative research involve a lot of concept theories, and then when we do the studies, we have data collection, we have interviews, and then after interviews, we analyze the data, we use different color to highlight those important phrases or keywords, and we make a summary. That is the research report. So these are some common beliefs. And there are more some common beliefs that people consider qualitative research is just a kind of storytelling. After listening people's story, I make a summary to report the findings. And qualitative research is easier than quantitative research. When I learn about research, this is my personal belief. I consider qualitative research, the sample size is smaller, and the data collection method is very easy. Just interview, talking with someone, and the data analysis is more easy because that do not involve those kind of statistics. It's easier. This is my early beliefs. And people also believe that qualitative research is subjective points of views of the researchers, and there are a lot of bias because the researchers conducting the study, they may impose their bias through the research process. So whether those kind of beliefs is true or not, I hope after this sharing, you will have a new understanding. So now we may have a very brief comparison between quantitative and qualitative research. So let's say this is, this figure represents maybe the findings of a quantitative research, and these blue dots, they are the data. If we talk about quantitative studies, usually people think of the numbers. Or I should say, in quantitative research, we have variables. We use standardized validate instrument to measure the variables, and then we collect data, we use some statistic to have calculation, take the average, and to show the relationship between the variables. So then maybe correlation, causal relationship, and for the quantitative research, when we conduct this kind of study, I think we do not like this dot and this one. Why? Because they are too extreme. We do not like this kind of data set. So what about qualitative research? What are the differences? No more numbers. Qualitative research, we do not talk about numbers. But how do we present the findings? We look at the pattern. When we analyze the data, we look at the pattern. And then what about these data? I would say for qualitative researcher, we intentionally identifies these individuals. We like these individuals because we are not looking at typical result, typical persons, but we want to have a comprehensive understanding. And this comprehensive understanding is obtained by including different individuals. They are different from each other. So this is just a brief understanding about the differences of these two types of research. So now we will look at the nature of qualitative research. This is about some philosophical underpinnings. For the ontological foundation, this refers to the assumptions about the nature of reality in qualitative research. We believe that the reality is socially constructed, and this is subjective. Because for every individuals, we are different from each other. We have our own background, our experience, so we see things differently. That's why we have multiple reality, and that is shaped by the social context. So that's why for the same objective reality, we can have different interpretations. For quantitative research, we believe there is objective reality. But for qualitative research, we believe there is multiple realities. So whether multiple reality is feasible, is reasonable or not, let's look at this example. So for this color, what color do you see? What is the color? Blue? Yes. When we say this is blue, I think some of you may disagree. You may consider this is green. So whether this is green or blue, or when I'm talking about this is green or blue, maybe some of you also disagree because a few individuals, they see this is gray in color. This is gray. If I say this is green, you say this is blue, I cannot say you are wrong. Because from your points of views, from your eyes, you really see this is blue. So for the color, that is objectively exists in the row, but we can have different interpretation, or we see different color. From research evidence, we can see that actually there are variations of color perception between males and females because of some genetic reasons, some neurological processing reasons. For objective exist in the world, like color, we can have different perceptions. So when we talk about people's life and experience, we can have also different understanding. So here I give you another example. What do you see in this picture? What do you see? I think you see this is a gentleman, right? And you also found here is a lady, a little boy carrying a bag, and then train is coming. So for one picture, this is also objectively exist. But if we change our angle, if we change our perspective, we can see different picture. That's why multiple reality is possible. And then for the epistemological stand, this is about how knowledge is constructed, how knowledge is created. And also in qualitative inquiry, we talk about the relationship between the researcher and the research participants. In this kind of inquiry, we believe that our understanding or knowledge emerges from interpretations. So based on the understanding of the researchers and also the research participant, we construct the reality, we construct the truth, we construct the knowledge. And knowledge is not out there to discover. So now I will share more about some key concepts we use in qualitative research. The first one is about we use inductive reasoning. So we use a bottom-up approach based on some specific observation or data. The researchers carefully to identify the patterns, identify the categories, themes, and the findings. Researchers use perspectives. That is to understand phenomena from their insider points of views through the eyes of those individuals. Because we believe that every individual is different from each other because of our personal background. So only if we can understand from their points of views, we can understand their experience and also to explore their realities and values so that we can have deep understanding. Meaning making. This meaning making is the central process of qualitative inquiry. The researchers have to explore to find the meanings because the meaning is not inherent in those kind of events, but the researchers have to actively explore and create from those individuals. And how we can identify to explore the meaning, this is through interpretation. So what does it mean by meaning making? Or as I mentioned about MX perspective. Here I would like to use this example, the story, the tortoise and the hare. You all know this story, right? We know about this story when we were very young. So I will not repeat the story here. So from this story, what does this tell? What do you learn from this story? What are the learning issues? After listening to this story, what did you learn? You may think about the hare or the rabbit is too confident. Sometimes overconfidence can undermine our performance, can make us to have failure. And you may also learn about from this story, we have to maintain our effort, keep putting our effort. We have to be very determined when we want to accomplish a task. And also time management, right? We should not take a nap. We should not too lazy. We need to have time management, self-discipline, right? So how do we know this kind of learning issues? The story do not mention about this. These learning issues we obtain from the reflections or the interpretation. We think about what are the meanings behind this kind of story. So this is meaning making. So what about the emic perspectives? From your point of view, do you understand the experience of the hare and tortoise from their perspectives? Do you understand? Usually, we consider, we understand, we know the tortoise is very happy and the hare is very sad. We know one is happy, another one is sad. But I would say this is know, but not understand. Inadequate understanding about the experience. What does it mean by understanding? If we using emic perspective, thinking from the perspectives of them, we imagine if we were the tortoise. What is the experience? Were the tortoise happy because it's win the game? Think about at the early beginning of this competition. Nobody believes I can win this competition. For myself, I'm a tortoise. I do not believe I can win it. I just want to participate in this competition, participate in the game. Through the game, I found the journey is so difficult, a lot of obstacle. I try my every step. I overcome all the obstacle. I keep going. I do not give up. I continue. I put my effort. At the end, I accomplish it, and also I win the game. That's why I'm happy. Right. What about the rabbit or the hare? If you think from the point of views, at the beginning of this competition, I believe I must win this game. Nobody will have doubled. So that's why I'm very confident I can take a nap. But at the end, I lose the game. I feel very regret about this. I regret. I should not overestimate myself. I should not look down on others. That's why I am so sad. I said not only because I lose the game. So if we can understand from people's perspectives, we can understand more about their experience. What about other key concepts? Contextualize understanding. For qualitative research, we always mention about the context because we want to see how things happen in the real world. So we conduct our study in a naturalistic environment to see how experience and flow, and we try to obtain understanding, see how they emerge from the context. So as we conduct the study in a naturalistic environment, so the context is very important. For qualitative inquiry, we always mention about the context or contextualized understanding. But what does it mean by context? Usually, people consider the context refer to environment because we emphasize about naturalistic environment, or people just simply think about context, that is the physical environment. So what is the meaning of context? Holistic understanding. In qualitative inquiry, it aims to have a comprehensive understanding about the phenomenon because we want to understand the relationship amongst people's experience, and we also consider about the historical, social, and cultural context in order to obtain a more comprehensive and holistic understanding. So what does it mean by holistic understanding? We can have a comparison between qualitative and quantitative studies. If we conduct quantitative studies, maybe represented by this picture, usually we focus on a few variables, right? So the result may be the score. We want to examine about some factors, any causes, what are the relationship. But if we do a qualitative research, we talk about people's lives, people's experience. This is a more broad, the scope of inquiry is more broad and holistic. And then in quantitative inquiry, we say the research design is more flexible, and this is emergent because when we conduct the study, we have the data collection and data analysis in an iterative approach. That means we keep back and forth between data collection and data analysis because the preliminary data analysis findings can inform subsequent approach, how we collect the data. So that's form a continuous feedback loop. And because we can change our data collection approach based on the insight from the preliminary data analysis, so that's why the whole research process is very flexible. So after talking some key concepts or principles of qualitative research, people usually consider this kind of research approach is very abstract, philosophical, and involves some complex process. But I would say, actually, in our daily life, we are using these kind of concepts to understand how things happen in our daily lives. One example is when we watch a movie. So, do you get excited when you watch a movie? Yes. Say, for example, in the movie, maybe the main character had a success after putting every effort, overcome all the obstacles, and then ultimately have a very great success. We feel excited. We feel the happiness. And then if the main character have any dangers, we worries about the character, right? If the character having any failure become very sad, it seems we can understand the feelings. Or if this is a scary movie, there is something very scary going to appear, people will scream, we may close our eyes, we do not want to see what will happen. So why we can get excited in a movie? You think about what evoked you are there. Actually, all those movies is not real. They are the actor. There is a camera, there is director, there is storyline. Why you can such kind of exciting experience? Because you are using the ambient perspective to understand the movie, right? So here I give you another example for this movie, Hodeyo, The Last Dance. Did you watch this movie? Some of you say yes, some of you did not. This is a blockbuster. This movie is a record-breaking movies. It deliver a lot of the message. So if you watch this movie before, do you feel there are a lot of message you are touched at this movie? Yes. So in case you did not watch this movie before, or from this movie, do you understand the following concepts of qualitative inquiry? For this movie, what does it tell? There's a lot of message given by the directors. There's a lot of themes, meanings. It's taught about life, right? And it's happened, the whole story happened during the COVID pandemic. The economic is not that good. So that's why, once you are, he has to change his job from a wedding planner to someone who doing some business about a funeral. So it's about economy. And it's also talk a lot about tradition, the cultural practice, some rituals. And it's also talk about some family dynamics, right? And also talk about some intergeneration conflicts, and also talk about filial piety. In the movie, we understand for each character, they have their own difficulty, they have their own story, their struggle. If we think about what are their struggle, what are the reasons, what are the causes of their struggle, we have to explain based on the cultural practice, the social context, and also their difficulty, their struggle is not their own, that is related to other individuals. The daughter's struggles is related to the father. And for Wang Ziyuan, he has a lot of argument with this mastermind because one is very traditional, another one is very innovative, bring a lot of innovative but not acceptable ideas to those funeral rituals. So it's delivered a lot of message. But this kind of message we have to understand based on the cultural and social context. And each individual's, their experience is affected, and they are also affecting another one. So as we understand a movie, we are using the concept of qualitative inquiry. So that's why those kind of concept is not that difficult. We are using them in our daily life. But one thing is very different is that I use movie as an example to illustrate those kind of concepts. One important different thing is that when we watch a movie, we are easily engaged into the movie to understand the feelings of those characters, right? Why we are so easily engaged? Like now, when I show this movie, I ask the colleagues to dim the light. I change the lighting, change the environment. In the movie, we have soundtrack, background music, we have the storyline, acting, some important phrases, like, as I mentioned, 三人都要破地獄. There are a lot of things to engage us into the movie. But when we do a qualitative research, we do not have lighting, we do not have background music, we do not have someone to act there. We just have the story. But we have to make this story have some picture in our mind to understand what is happening. Yeah, this is the difference, but this is not that difficult. So after talking about some key concepts in qualitative research, now I would like to introduce three common research design. So they are, phenomenology, ethnography, and grand theory. Simply speaking, phenomenology are used to explore the essence of people's lived experience, and we want to know about what are the essential elements, or using the terms of phenomenology, that is the constituents. So what are the interrelationship among those constituents is the essence. And then ethnography is to understand about cultural practice, to study about some social groups, what are the norms among the social groups. And then grand theory is to generate theories to explain social process and behaviors. In this seminar, I will not go into very details to talk about each research design, because I think for each research design I can, that is a lecture, so this is not suitable in this seminar. What I would like to highlight is that for each research design, they have their own discipline, their own domain, their own focus. Phenomenology focus on the lived experience. Ethnography studies about cultural practice. Grand theory is to explain social process. But for a single phenomenon, if we ask different research questions, we can use different research design. Or another way is that for a single phenomenon, we can use all those 3 research design to study based on what kind of research questions we ask. Say, for example, using the film, The Last Dance. What kind of research ideas or questions that come to your mind after watching this video? These movies talk about tradition and some modern practice. It's talk about some intergeneration conflict. It's talk about some male-dominant society. It's talk about some cultural practice. So, say for example, if we ask questions about like what is the lived experience of funeral workers in Hong Kong, how do individuals experience the conflict between personal beliefs and family obligations in cultural practice, this kind of questions is related to people's experience, so we can use terminology. Or if we want to know about culture and norms, like what cultural meanings are embedded in the tourist funeral rituals in Hong Kong death care practice, or how do gender norms influence participation in traditional death rituals in Hong Kong, we can use ethnography. But if we want to know something related to process, like how do individuals navigate the process of transiting between different professional identities, how is the cultural practice transmit across generations? So some questions about some social process, we can use grand theory. That means we have different kinds of research design, but they are not studying different kinds of things. Just for a single phenomenon, if we ask different questions, we can use all these 3 research design. And then for the qualitative data analysis, because when I received the invitation from Simon, he mentioned about to share something about data analysis. I would consider actually if we talk about data analysis, there will involve different approach, different kinds of method, and sometimes it depends on what kind of research design you use. So I would consider this is more important to understand the principles, how we conduct the data analysis. So here, I show you some major principles. The first one is reflexivities. So for the data collection and data analysis, not only data analysis, starting from data collection, the researchers have to ongoing reflections about the personal bias, their assumptions, understanding the roles, their presence in the environment. So how their bias and assumptions will affect their data collections. And also the researchers have to keep in mind of those assumptions and understanding, because as they keep in mind that is to avoid their assumptions will affect imposing bias when they collect data and also analyze the data. Iterative and inductive approach, because when we do the qualitative research, once we start data collection, we start the data analysis. So the whole process is keeping back and forth between data collection and data analysis. So this is a iterative process. Systematic coding and thematic identification. So when we analyze the data, we try to break down the data into some manageable unit, recode the data, identify the patterns, categories, and themes in order to identify the findings. And also when we understand the data and present the findings, we have to consider the context in order to show the holistic understanding. So these are the principles. It sounds to be, again, very abstract and philosophical. I will use one example, that is to working on the jigsaw puzzles to illustrate what researchers do when they analyze qualitative data. So say, for example, for each piece of puzzle here, they are the data or the codes of the narrative data. So what we do when we are working on the puzzle, what is the first step we do? We will pick up those in similar color, like this one in blue, this is blue. We try to pick up them together, right? And also for other color, like the green one, we group them together. When we group those similar color, like we try to group similar codes, we have a larger piece, right? And then we continue to group those similar together, and we will come up with a larger one. And the next step, what you will do? You may think about, is there any relationship among these pieces? Say, for example, it seems that these two pieces, they are related to each other. We try to put them together to see, is there any relationship? So after using this approach, you may have a preliminary understanding. You may have a picture here, but there is still some missing piece. If there is some missing piece, what we will do? We will look at those individual pieces, look at the data to see whether we can fill up this missing piece. But if there is no one can fill up this missing piece, what we should do in a study? We may think about, I may miss some information. I have to change my data collection strategies. Think about who can tell me this missing piece, who can answer these questions. So I change my data collection approach. So actually the whole process is an iterative process. We keep back and forth between data collection and data analysis. At the end, we can come up with the whole picture, right? So this is an example what the researcher is doing, keeping back and forth between data collection and data analysis. Again, this is just an example. Of course, there is some major differences. One major difference is that when we're working on a puzzle, before we start, we know what is the whole picture, right? But for qualitative data analysis, we do not know the whole picture. But I think this is one interesting thing is that we do not know. That's why we have to explore what it will be. And through the research process, when we analyze the data, when we read the data, it's like we are having the dialogue, having conversations with the data. Because when we analyze the data, we start to learn more. We have some reflections, we have some insights, idea. It's like having a dialogue. That's why the whole process is a reflective dialogue. Okay, for this picture or this painting, I think you know about this painting, right? There's a very famous painting, The Scream. I think you saw this kind of this painting before. So what about this picture? This photo? Do you know this gentleman? Do you know him? He is Professor Joseph Song. He was the Vice Chancellor of CUHK, and he is also a very famous scientist and scholar. When he took this photo, he was the Vice Chancellor of CUHK. When we present the findings or when we analyze the data, as I mentioned, one of the important key concepts of the qualitative inquiry is to identify the meanings. So say these photos is the findings of a study. How do you describe the findings? If we just only describe, I see Professor Joseph Song, he is standing in front of a painting and doing the same as the person in the painting, this is so descriptive. I do not really presenting the findings of these photos. So what are the meanings? Meaning making is a central process of qualitative inquiry. What are the meanings? How I can present the findings here? When you look at these photos, as I mentioned, who is he? He is a vice chancellor, he's a scholar, he's a scientist. Usually we believe this kind of person should be very serious, right? But you find he's quite funny, interesting. He has the sense of humor. So maybe the sense of humor is the meaning that can show in these photos. So when we present the findings, we just not describe about what you see, but we have to present what are the meanings behind the findings. Okay, last I would like to use the findings of my PhD study to talk about what does it mean by a holistic understanding when we present the findings. For my PhD study, I used phenomenology to explore the lived experience of hospital readmissions among Chinese older people who have COPD. So these boxes are the findings or the themes. So the lower three describe about the experience of hospital readmissions, what happens during the older adults they were admitted to hospital. And then what about these three themes or the constituents? So from this figure, we can understand that whenever the older adults, they experience breathlessness, they have difficulty in breathing, they try every effort to refrain from unnecessary readmissions. Sometimes they success, do not require hospital admissions, but sometimes they fail, they back to the hospital. So eventually, they resign to hospital readmissions. They accept that. And their attitudes towards hospital readmissions or towards their lives become living for the moment. Living for the moment in Chinese, this is 及時行樂. So why they can have this kind of attitudes? If we think about or if we imagine for people who always admitting to hospital, we believe they have a lot of suffering, right? This is not easy. Why they can living for the moment? We have to think about their context. They are a group of older adults. Think about when they were young. That is during the period, I think around 1950 to 1960s. During those days, life is not easy. They have children, they are parents, they consider their responsibility is to bring up their children. But at that time, they have to work very hard to earn for the little things, but they still withstand the poverty. Well, their children grow up, their children is very success. They consider the independence of their children as their pride, as their own success. They do not have much to worry about. And also, they will consider themselves they already fulfilled their responsibility as parents. For Chinese peoples, we believe parents have to bring up their children. That is their major responsibility. Now they consider they already accomplish their responsibility. There's not much things they have to worry. That's why, even though they still need to readmit to hospital, but they can take it easy, living for the moment. So this kind of attitudes, why they have this kind of attitude is related to their past experience, related to the social context, related to the cultural context. So when we analyze the data and present the data, we still keep in mind of those kind of key concepts. So as a summary, qualitative research is not just telling stories only, but we want to have some in-depth and last, I would like to use two movie, The Last Dance, to conclude this seminar. In the movies, it's mentioned about 有機會嚟到呢個世界已經賺咗啦何必要介懷幾時落車呢？不如好好咁欣賞沿途嘅風景。人生就好似一程車咁，重點唔係邊個陪你去到邊一個站，而係我哋一齊欣賞過邊一啲風景。風景 It's mentioned about scenery, but I think we all understand the meaning behind these two phrases is not about scenery. It's about the meanings of lives, the attitudes, what we have to treasure in our lives. So for qualitative inquiry, it's not just listening to story, but we want to explore the meanings behind people's story. So this is what I would like to share today. So I hope you will enjoy doing qualitative research after this seminar. Thank you. Thanks very much.
Testing. Yeah. So thank you very much, Fiona. So is there any question that you want to ask or share your views or comments? So maybe I ask the first one.
Sure.
Yeah. So you mentioned about the concept. What actually are the process that we need to do if we want to do qualitative research? For example, that a student, for example, that if they do quantitative research, they know that they need to collect the data and then they use statistical analysis tools to do something. But what about qualitative research?
I would say actually the whole research process is quite similar to quantitative one. We start from thinking about what is the research questions, and these research questions inform the research design. Oh, okay. Thank you. So based on the topic of inquiry and the research questions, we think about what is the research design, what kind of data we have to collect, we think about the sampling approach, we think about the data collection method. The process, I would say, is quite similar, but the mindset is different. For quantitative research, before we start the study, we already determine the whole research process at this step. We already determine what is the sampling approach, the sampling criteria. But for qualitative research, we have to set up these kind of things at the early beginning. But once we start the study, when we learn something, we know more about the topic of inquiry, we may change the approach. We may change our data collection method based on some reason of justification or some insight from the preliminary findings. And throughout the whole research process, I think the mindset is the most important. We have to keep in mind that we need to be very flexible, open mind and know about our personal understanding and assumptions. So I would say, if you ask about the research process, is very similar, but the mindset is different.
So maybe I can ask for the student, because the students are only senior students, but they may not choose. They may not start yet, actually, the data collection. So in the past, do you see any of the problems that students will always face when they do the qualitative research? What are the challenges that they make so that they try not to do qualitative research, actually? Or what are the problems that when they conduct a qualitative research, but when you receive their work and you find something wrong with their interpretation or anything about the data analysis or any?
Yeah, these are very good questions and very practical questions. For the challenges in data collection, I think one major challenge is that I also encountered this challenge. Usually we use interviews to collect data, right? Interviews is to prepare the interview guide, talking with someone. I just need to ask all the questions. That's it. We usually believe this is very easy and straightforward. But when we do the qualitative interviews, this is not that easy. When you ask the question, let's say for my PhD study, I mentioned about my study is to explore the lived experience of hospital remission. Before I start my study, I believe that the patients will have a lot of things to share with me because they have a lot of suffering. So when I interviewed them, I asked them to share about their experience. They just told me, I get used to it. Full stop. No more. No more sharing. It's true. They get used to it. So what you can do? They do not have more sharing. Sometimes we consider conversation interviews is so easy. I ask the questions and then the research participant will tell a lot of things to me. But actually this is not true. Particularly when you are doing a research, as a researcher, the participants do not know you. He or she is not your friend. They do not have such kind of intention to share everything with you. So we have to think about how we can encourage the participants to share about their points of views, their own story. But my experience, usually when I start the interviews, I will not just start by asking those questions. I will have some casual chat with them. Say if they are the patients, I will ask about how about their appetites, what they do when they are at the hospital, whether they sleep well, to make them feel I am the one who concerned about them. I'm not here to collect all the data. I'm someone who wants to chat with you. I need to have some warm-up exercise with those research participants, and they will make your interviews more easy. Otherwise, they will not tell you a lot. Yeah.
So you say something about my next question, because I'm thinking about there may be a lot of challenges, but the other way around, some of the students may think qualitative research is much easier, because when I do my quantitative research for my PhD, that is more than 1,000 respondents that I need to collect the data. I separate into half. One is for validation for the instrument, and another half for predicting the model and validate the model and testing prediction. The other for my classmate, not exactly the classmate, but the same time, that he just interviewed 8 person for his PhD study at Hong Kong U. So I think the student may also have this misconception. So when you talk about sampling size, does it actually have any sampling size for qualitative research? And if they think sampling size is not a matter, and they choose qualitative research in the end, is that a good choice or a misconception about this?
A good choice, yes, a good choice doing qualitative research, but there is some misunderstanding. Sample size do matter in qualitative inquiry because we aim for a holistic understanding. Say, for example, for a sample size as small as 8 individuals, how we can tell or convince others or convince, at least that is a PhD study, right? How we convince those examiners I collect enough data. So we all know for the principles to determine the sample size in qualitative inquiries using the data saturation. Yeah. So when we do the interviews, I think as small as the 8 numbers of participants, if we can conduct a very in-depth interview, having in-depth discussions about people's life, about people's experience, and then finally achieve the data saturation, I think that's not a problem. So even though it seems that qualitative research is very flexible, we do not have a very standard guideline how we carry out the whole research process, but we still follow some principles. We cannot violate those kind of principles. The sample size as small as 8, I think that is acceptable if this is follow the principle.
So another misconception that the student may also have is that when they read those qualitative research paper, they find that they can just quote what people say. So if I interview 8 people and then I just quote a lot of what they're saying, and then that's the end of my analysis. Is that true?
I would say those
any comments about this way of data analysis?
Those kind of codings for what the participants say, this is essential when they present the findings. Because as I mentioned, sometimes people believe qualitative inquiry is very easy because those are from their subjective points of views from the researchers. But actually the researchers have to keep in mind what are their personal assumptions. They should not have the subjective points of views. How they show their findings is presenting the lives of those individuals are based on the codes. So providing those codes are the evidence. But when we present those codes, we have also to tell what are the meanings behind those codes. It's like in one of my slides, I showed the picture of Professor Joseph Song. When I present the pictures, I do not tell Professor Joseph Song is standing in front of the painting, but I have to tell the meanings behind this picture. Again, for the codes, we have to tell what is the message behind the codes, but not just present all the data.
So go to another question is that some of the students ask, is qualitative research only restricted to text? Because when they read some of the papers, it always says some numbers. Actually, they count the number and say 1/3 agree that, half agree that. Does it necessary, or is it a kind of different qualitative research that they need the number to tell the story?
If just to report the number or saying majority, minority of individual, I would say this is not a very like a qualitative research, or sometimes if we're doing some simple descriptive qualitative analysis, we may have some very simple descriptive presentation. Usually, if we conduct a qualitative research, we have more in-depth understanding. Yeah. But if we talk about tasks, whether we only analyze tasks, right, involve tasks only, this is not true. For qualitative research, yes, mainly that's involve tasks because we usually use interviews to collect data, but sometimes we may also use observation. And like as I show you those videos, I talk about what are the meanings behind those videos. It's also based on our observation, right? So qualitative inquiry is not only about tasks, but it's also involve other kinds of data.
So thank you. Please don't mind that I ask so many questions because like a lot of students that when they, sorry, yeah. Oh, sure. That's good.
This one is asking about, that is, how do I know that I get the correct films from the film analysis based on the interview scripts?
This is a very good question. So how do I know? Or if we are doing quantitative research, we always want to prove our outcomes is accurate or not. For qualitative research, we do not have such kind of methods, I would say, to prove it. But we have other criteria. Or when you present the findings, when you think about the findings, we really need to think about, is there any evidence or from the data, any data can support your own understanding, can support your themes. And also when you think about those kind of supporting evidence, whether it's come from your personal mind, or if you can, actually in this seminar, I do not involve a lot of some practical technique when we doing a qualitative research. When we do research, I think you may know about the technique about bracketing. We have to withhold our personal understanding. So when we read those kind of data, think about whether they are evidence. We also have to withhold our understanding, whether this is just coming from my mind, from my own understanding, or actually the participant, they are telling this is one way to reflect, think about whether my themes is valid or not. And also there are other criteria. Let's say you may invite someone who is very experienced in qualitative research to review the data analysis process review. So you may have some peer reviews, or sometimes they may have another kinds of methods like member checking, although there's a lot of arguments about member checking. So that means there are different techniques to validate or to reflect whether your findings is presenting the points of views of those participants.
Still some more questions? No. Okay, that's good. So I just mentioned that please don't mind that I ask so many questions because students always have some problem in understanding qualitative research actually, because they read a lot of papers and they seem to present in very different way. They analyze in very different way, different from quantitative research that they just follow. They use regression, mean difference. That's all. So for this part, it seems very different when they read those articles and they need to guess how to present their own. So for example, that you mentioned many times about in-depth analysis from the student's experience or point of view. So what actually is in-depth to them? So I interview you and I write down your saying how to make it more in-depth. Or is that in-depth enough? So to them, so they is there any way that they can do something more or to understand about this?
This is a good question. For in-depth understanding, for students, I would say if you are too young, this is quite difficult for you to understand without too much experience. Not experience about research, experience about people's life. If you want to have in-depth understanding, you need to understand other people's life. Maybe say, for example, for myself, my PhD study is to study about the lives of older adults. I'm not an older adult. How can I understand them? I have to imagine if I were them, what will be their experience? It's like the example I show in my sharing, I used the story, the tortoise and the hare. We know their feelings, their experience. We know the tortoise is happy because winning the game. The hare is sad, but this is not a kind of in-depth understanding. If we can imagine, if we were down, what happened to me, what I have to encounter, how do I understand those kind of experience? If you're thinking from the points of views from those individuals, you can start to obtain this in-depth understanding.
So thank you very much. Any other question from the floor? I just wait and ask more for you, because I think students have less experience, even in their curriculum, that we say that research method it seems that a lot have been more focused on quantitative research in a lot of different institutions. And it seems difficult for students to choose qualitative research as their choice.
Because not much input.
Yeah, it's difficult for them to understand both, understand and also to write, and it involves a lot of writing to show that you understand the details about the content or this. So any other comment or some? Yeah, sure.
Thank you, Professor Tang. Because our student, some of them are going to try to think whether they are because they are our capstone project students. They are discussing with us whether they should use qualitative analysis for their capstone project. But my question is, I understand just like the puzzle, you show it in the PowerPoint, and at the end of the day, maybe after you collect enough information, data, and got the theme, after all data saturated, suppose you get a full picture of the puzzle. Then how to present the puzzle to the supervisor or to the audience, I mean the readers of the report? This is my question. Is it the way based on the researchers' interpretation of the whole puzzle to do some in-depth description for the research topic? Or how to I mean, what's the deliverables or the outcome such that our student can have a better understanding about what should they submit to us? Just this is my question. I want to try to from you to answer such a question for them. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. I understand those kind of difficulties. We're concerned about the deliverables, right? And actually, deliverables, I think this from the point of view of quantitative research, we usually mention about these kind of terms. For quantitative research, as I mentioned, we look at the pattern. Finally, this kind of pattern become the finding. Sometimes we call they are the categories. They are the themes. So we may think about what are the major themes in your study. It's like, again, an example in my sharing. I talk about the theme, The Last Dance. What are the themes in that movies? So those are the findings. And also, when we talk about the themes, we also have to keep in mind, we need to explain what are the relationship amongst those themes. Because for every individuals, our experience is interrelated with each other's. And also when we find the patterns, sometimes the patterns may be affected by others. Sometimes this pattern is affecting another one. So the pattern, the categories and themes, these are the things that we have to present in the findings. And we also have to present about their relationship. So maybe we can keep in mind these kind of things when we present the findings.
Thank you. Sorry, I just have a question in my mind about how do we explain if we get challenged about our findings or just anything about data collect or conclusion, just anything like that. Thank you.
The challenges? Or
if we get challenged about our results or conclusion or just anything about our findings.
You mean any kinds of challenges in the conclusion or
so when people challenge you, like having a fiver or just that kind of not very easy environment. Yeah.
I see. I would say for qualitative inquiry, this is open for discussion. The findings is open for discussion. If someone challenge you, we may just have the open discussion to see what are the challenging points. And when we present the findings, actually, because this is just a seminar only, this is not a lecture. If I'm talking about a lecture to talk about the data analysis, I will go through the whole process. The whole process involved the coding, the how we categorize those kind of findings, how we present the findings. So if someone really challenged, we can present how we analyze the data. What are the meaning units, what are the codes, how we come up with some categories, subcategories, we can talk about to show the whole process to allow for open discussion.
Often people think, oh, I cannot agree with you. Like, what if they're not happy with your explanation? What should be our attitude? Like, when people get upset about your findings, if that's okay, yeah.
So that means if someone disagree with your findings, what you can do, I think you may ask about what are the challenging points, what are the justifications, what are the arguments, why they do not accept, why disagree with your findings. If they are reasonable, I think it's still fine, because what we believe in qualitative inquiry is that there is multiple realities. We can see things from different perspectives. You have your own perspective. You can justify your perspective. For another one, they can also do it. We can accept other people's understanding and perspectives. Yeah. Yeah, Rocket.
So the supervisor need to accept that the student do not think the same as yours. And so long as the student can find the same for qualitative and quantitative, they need to have evidence. So they find evidence to defend their argument, and they get it from the interview, from the content, from observation, from whatever that you collect the data. So this is difficult because the student, even they just write down, describe what happened. It's not easy to report what they have. It's not easy. But now they need to argue that they have certain idea to make the conclusion that I believe that's the conclusion. So before that, you need to have all the evidence to help you to make this argument. So this is really the weakest point for the student. I think it's not easy.
Yeah, actually the whole process is not easy, but once you learn it, I think you will enjoy, because throughout the research process, you find you are keep learning something from other individuals, from other people's life, the story. So that's why I enjoy the process, although this is difficult. Yeah.
So long as you have an in-depth understanding, not necessarily argue. So in-depth understanding, the more question that you have in mind, and the more that you want to find it out, and then the whole process actually is what you already learned. So that's the learning process. And so as a supervisor, we know that it is not easy. So even we ask the question, it's difficult to ask the question, because when we will talk with the student how to present better for their work. Yeah. So at last, sometimes we easily will choose quantitative research, that we have all the tables and all the diagram,
More straightforward.
more straightforward to make the argument. Yeah. So any other comments, questions? And student, do we have anything from the student? Not easy to ask a question because they did not start yet. and okay, maybe we just hear this time, and then we can learn and think about later on, see whether qualitative research is an appropriate choice for your study. Depends on research question, depends on what you actually will do. So this is very good. Thank you very much, Mr. Tang.
Thanks very much. Thank you.
So we'll stop here for this research seminar. Thank you. Thank you for joining us.